When I made my dangerous angle grinder modification video last week, I knew I was going to get all sorts of comments. I mean, you don't make a thumbnail like this and expect not to get a reaction. I was inviting it. I wanted to use the absurd to draw attention to important lessons, particularly that angle grinders are not like other tools. This isn't a power drill or even a circular saw. This is a high-speed tool. Many of these run 8, 10,000, even higher RPM. And that speed makes them really, really dangerous, especially if you misuse it. Like this, or like this. It was really a crazy video. If you haven't seen it yet, I'll link to it below. I'll put it in the video description and I'll also pin it to the top of the comments. Now this video is a follow-up that addresses a few comments I got, some of which were fine and well-meaning, others were rude and condescending and outright vitriolic. Now comments like this are part of the job. This isn't a woe is me, I have to deal with bad comments type video. I usually just delete them. If they're bad enough, I even mute the person and I never think about it again. But I thought, why let some of these go to waste? Because the whole point of the original video was to use the absurd to teach important lessons. So today I'm going to use a few of the absurd comments that I got to teach even more lessons. And maybe because it'll be a little entertaining here in the middle of the week. First, I want to address comments about the angle grinder that I was holding in the video, which is this same one right here. Now, there is something about safety videos that really rubs some people the wrong way. They can't just say, wow, angle grinder wood chipper is ridiculous. Like pretty much any normal person would have to agree. No, they have to turn the focus on the messenger. So they squint at their screens and they look for something, anything that can be used to shout, ah, hypocrite. Several people pointed to my grinding disc. This grinding disc was not being used to cut anything in the video. It's just on the tool, so I have something to hold in my hands, because if I have my hands down at my side, I'm looking like I'm making a hostage video. But even so, I'm told that it's on backwards. And I'm okay with most of the people who politely pointed that out and asked me about it. Totally fine. But to the handful of others who called me an idiot, who didn't know how to use my tool, I'd suggest making sure that you know what tool I'm using before you make yourself look like the idiot. This disc is not on backwards. This is a Makita grinder. It has their quick locking system. It's called X-Lock. Because of the shape of the tabs in the center of the disc, you can only put this on one way with the label facing outward. It will not go on with the label facing inward. No, this disc is not on backwards. But like I said, let's use this as a learning opportunity. Would it matter if the disc was on backward? This is something that is debated and debated on the internet. Some folks claim that these fiber cutting discs in particular have a distinct grain direction. And if you spin the disc against the grain, you can break off chips or even blow the whole thing up into dangerous shrapnel. We definitely don't want that happening. But if you look closely at the edge of my disc, where you can see a little bit of damage so you can see the fibers more clearly, you'll notice that they are crisscrossing each other. It's like plywood. There's no single grain direction. In fact, here's what Norton, who's a major manufacturer of these discs, has to say.
Yeah, happy to answer this one. So, for a conventional straight cutting disc such as this, it really doesn't matter. It's up to you, however you want to mount the disc, whatever your preference is. But top tip, for me, I like to mount this disc with a label facing out. That's purely so I know what product I've got on this machine, so I know what I can use it for.
Now keep in mind, we're talking about these flat cutting discs. There are other types of discs that may require a specific mounting direction for one reason or another, and he goes on to explain a little bit of that in the video. I'll link to the rest of it below so you can see it. Another issue that came up is whether the grinder that I was holding in that video was plugged in or not. This is actually something that comes up a lot whenever I hold any power tool in a video. Several years ago, I did freak out a bunch of people using or holding an angle grinder because they couldn't see that the cord was hanging off the bench and they didn't know if it was plugged in. Now, most of those comments were well-meaning, if a bit nitpicky. So the next time I made a video using that angle grinder, I made sure I clamped the end of the cord in my vise, sticking up in the air where it was visible. And I still got angry and some really nasty comments lecturing me about handling plugged-in power tools. So this time, I held a grinder with no cord at all. And wouldn't you know it, I still got a guy to just tear into me for holding a grinder with a battery installed, which he said is irresponsible and no different from leaving it plugged in, and was proof that I'm just another YouTuber who doesn't know what he's doing in the shop. The problem is, while he's squinting at his monitor looking for something to call me a hypocrite about, he missed the fact that there is no battery on this tool. I get it. At first glance, it's a little big at the bottom. Maybe you would think there's a battery, but if you would just take a minute to watch carefully, as you would hope someone would do before they dive headfirst into the insults, he might have noticed that as I gestured, you could see the bottom where there's a hollow where the battery clips in. Is it easy to see? I don't know. All I'm saying is if you're going to call someone out, make sure you're right about it. But let's again use this as a teaching opportunity. All too often, I do see people changing their bits and blades without unplugging their tools. I know it's a hassle, but those rules are written in blood. Many years ago, I was changing a bit on a router, which I neglected to unplug. I bumped the switch and it turned on. Were it not for the soft start motor, which was actually pretty rare back then, and my younger, faster reflexes at that time, I surely would have lost fingers. I never made that mistake again. De-energize your power tools. That means unplugging them from the wall or removing the battery. However, if you do unplug them or remove the battery, then it is perfectly safe to touch the cutter. Now, I know some of you are thinking, of course, you can handle a de-energized power tool. How else would you change the blade? Well, this is the internet, folks, and people love to call others idiots, even if they have to make a ridiculous argument to do it. And I have had this argument more times than I can count. It usually starts with someone accusing me of leaving the tool plugged in. And when they realize that it was unplugged and they were wrong, instead of just saying, oh, my bad, they try to salvage their argument by changing the goalposts. Now they're saying a power tool is like a gun. And just as you wouldn't carelessly handle a gun that you think is unloaded, you shouldn't carelessly place your hand on the cutter of an unplugged tool. A power tool is not a gun. The reason you should always treat a gun like it's loaded is because you cannot always physically see into the breech to confirm that it is in fact not loaded. A power tool is different. I can see that this battery is removed. In the case of that angle grinder video, I could see that the plug was not in the wall. It was not going to pull itself out of that vise and plug itself in somewhere. My battery over there on that bench is not going to walk over here and pop back into my tool. I cannot turn this on no matter how much I fiddle around with it. Now, if you want to walk around with your tool pointed at the floor like a rifle, that's up to you. But for me, it's enough to unplug it or remove the battery. One more comment that I get that presents a teaching opportunity. I often hear people dismiss safety warnings by saying, well, every tool is dangerous, or every tool can hurt you if you misuse it. You're the most dangerous tool in your shop. Well, it's only half true. I can hurt myself with a popsicle stick, but I'd have to sharpen the end and jam it in my eye. I'd be a lot more comfortable handing a popsicle stick to a 5-year-old than I would a butcher knife. Because while all tools can be dangerous, not all are equally dangerous. Humans make mistakes. We all do. That's why you might stub your toe even though you have 50 years of walking experience. It's just part of being human. Some tools or tool attachments are designed specifically to minimize the damage that can occur when you do make a simple mistake. And others are designed in such a way that even the smallest mistake can cost you fingers, life, or limb. I'm not saying that those tools should be banned. There's a lot of dangerous tools in this shop. I'm just saying that it's folly to assume that your intellect will always protect you. Even the smartest, most experienced humans lose their focus once in a while. And the more experience you have, the more likely you can lose your focus because you're also getting older. So if you're going to use a particularly dangerous tool like an angle grinder, plan for the worst just in case this is the day you screw up. That means protecting yourself in every way you can. Use the blade guard, put it in the correct position, install the side handle, wear face protection, secure loose clothing and hair, wear hearing protection, inspect your disc for damage, avoid dumb accessories that increase the risk for an already dangerous tool. Do whatever you can to reduce the damage that can happen if after decades of experience you finally prove that you're human too. This is a Koenigsegg, Sweden's finest sports car. This is a Joburg, Sweden's finest workbench. There are things for people who appreciate quality and high performance, something they can pass down to their grandkids. You can't afford this, but this will cost you less than a good cabinet saw. Check out what Joburg has to offer at the link below this video.